Hello.
There we go. It actually, the on and off things are reversed here, so my fault. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start early and give you like 30 seconds extra of presentation. So thanks everyone for coming to this kind of low-ceilinged basement to join us here this morning. I appreciate you all being here. I hope we can share some interesting stuff with you that I hope our experience is helpful and relevant in some way, and obviously happy to talk about any aspect of it afterward. My name is Matt Supko. I am I don't even know what my official title is. I think it says developer and technical consultant on this thing. But I've worked with the American Booksellers Association for about 17 years now. Gosh, a long time. And pretty much all that time, I've been involved to a large extent with this project that you're going to see here. So, let's start off with the American Booksellers Association. We are a trade association representing independent bookstores in the United States. Sometimes people think that we control the bookstores. We do not control the bookstores. They are very much independent entities with their own will and volition and their own decisions about what they do. But what we do for those members is we provide advocacy services, education, we provide marketing support, we provide all kinds of different member services, basically anything that our members need that we can do, maybe collectively, that's harder for them to do individually, that's something ABA is going to do. So one of those things, of course, is the ability to run their own competitive e-commerce website. To that end, ABA runs the Indie Commerce program. This is an e-commerce program that is specifically tailored to the needs of independent bookstores. We currently have over 500 live stores in all 50 states, and each of our stores has their own website with their own domain name. We have book metadata for millions of in-print books available on all our sites. I'll talk in a bit more detail about how we do that later on in the presentation. And we have a whole set of tools for them to use to make the most of their website. And we have a dedicated support team who has extremely close relationships with a lot of our stores and works directly with them to get the most benefit out of their sites. So a brief history of our platform. We launched it in 1999. It was called booksense.com. If anyone remembers that, I will be really impressed. No hands. Nobody remembers booksense.com. Well, it was the 1.0 web era. E-commerce was just coming online, and it was determined that bookstores needed a way to compete. So we created, at that time, a platform that was completely custom, completely proprietary, written entirely in Java. And what ABA found over the years was that we couldn't iterate fast enough with that approach. Our members were wanting new features, and we weren't able to deliver them as fast as they wanted them. So we cast about looking for an open source option that we could migrate to, where we could get some of these things members wanted, things like Google Analytics integration, sitemaps, these kinds of things. And after a pretty extensive review, we chose Drupal, in large part because of the community, because of the feature set. We were very impressed with it, and it's turned out to be a great choice for us. So we launched on Drupal 5 in 2008. In 2009, we did an upgrade to Drupal 6 overnight. I did that, and I will never forget it. It was not fun. I wouldn't do it again, but we got it done. But with each subsequent upgrade, it's been a bit more effort. So in 2013 and 2014, we upgraded to Drupal 7. That took a couple of years. We moved our sites one by one, and Lullabot helped us out with that. And then most recently, in 2022, as we were contemplating how to get from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, 9, 10, and beyond, we completely reimagined the platform. Since we were going to have to migrate everybody anyway, we took the opportunity to take each piece of it apart and try to rebuild it and make it better than it was before. So we're going to show you here what that new platform looks like. So I'm going to show you a couple of our sample sites just real quick so you can get a feel for what our sites do. This site is 44th and 3rd Bookseller, and they are right here in Atlanta. They're not far from the hotel if you want to go check them out. Or better still, you can just visit their website at 44th-and-3rdbookseller.com. And you can see they've made pretty great use of our book lists feature. They have a lot of recommended books on their front page. They also maintain these really nice, custom graphics. Another store very close to here. This is a children's bookstore. It's called Little Shop of Stories, and you can get a feel here how maybe the templates are kind of similar, but what the stores can do with them is really quite different. The books they recommend can be quite different. The kinds of visual style that they bring to it can be pretty different, and they're also very close to here. And then another store that's made use of a lot of the more advanced features on our platform is McLean and Aiken Booksellers. They're in Petoskey, Michigan. And you can see that they're promoting all kinds of things on their front page, from custom apparel, bags, signed copies, digital audiobooks. So they've got a lot of different things that they promote and sell on their website. So at this point, Pablo's going to talk about how it works under the hood.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you again all for coming. My name is Pablo Lopez. I'm backend developer at Lullabot, and I've been working in the e-commerce 2.0 platform for almost 3 years. That's been a close relationship between the both companies, and thank you to the shared values and principles. It's been great to be part of it, and it's nice. So I'm going to talk a bit about what's happening under the hood. I will not go very in deep with technical detail because not the focus of this session. But if you have any questions more technical, I'm happy to deep into that later or in the questions turn. So yeah, let's start. So let's talk a bit about the code. So we have a single indie commerce is a single platform, so we have the same code for all the sites. It's like a multi-site, but not actually, because each of the sites has its own instance in Pantheon in this case. But yeah, so we started with Drupal 9. We are in the latest Drupal 10.4 version, and we are planning to 11 when we are ready to. And Drupal Commerce, that's the foundation of all the commerce stuff. It's in 2.40. That is the latest version in the 2 branch, and we are hopefully migrating to the 3.x branch soon. So all the sites are setting a unique theme because all the stores, they don't have the resources to maybe nor the knowledge to build a theme from scratch for the site, but we'll talk a bit later about how they are capable to handle this. And the good thing about being each of the stores in a different instance is that depending on the size, traffic, or whatever, they can choose the resources that they need for their hosting, so we can adapt the costs. The first of all that we need to think about this is about the site administrator experience. So we need to know that for this project we have 2 kinds of user personas. We need to sell the project. On the one hand is the final visitor who is buying the books or any product, and on the other hand we have to sell this platform to the store owners. We need to take into account again that most of them are not technical, and we need to provide an experience good enough for them to be accessible and intuitive for non-technical people. I think that we all agree that Drupal is very powerful. It has a super powerful administration part, but it can be overwhelming for that people who is not technical. So the Lullabot, together with ABA and all the knowledge they had from all the previous years and the old platform, conducted a UX and content strategy study to completely reorganize the architecture of the administration part of Drupal. So we changed the breadcrumbs are completely custom based on that new architecture. The access, we created a special layer on top of Drupal permissions to grant access to the very specific pages each role should access to. So that's been a lot of work, but I think it's work because it gives a a much better experience for all those users that are not the visitor, but are the site administrator that we need to think about. Besides that, we created a dashboard for them, a specific dashboard, so when they log in, they can see at a glance what they have in their site, and also they can navigate through all the pages they have access to through this new custom navigation we built with this kind of custom breadcrumbs and so on. So here you can see this dashboard. So this is the first thing the users see when they log in the site. So they have useful information for them. It's like, okay, this is the money I'm getting, how many orders, the products I sold. They have another section where they have these links that could be completely customized. So depending on the store, they could have different product types. They could create different reports that they have some shortcuts to them. The content, the different content that they can create, and they have in the right side they have the navigation with the different menus, and they have this other kind of important part that is a message center. That is the point of contact between the stores and e-commerce when they get announcements about features updates, maintenance time windows, etc. So this is what they have, and as mentioned before, we only have one chance to provide a very good first impression. So besides that, on top of it, we created this dashboard tour. So the first time they log in, or if they want to revisit it, they have some information about what they can do with the dashboard. And besides that, they have those messages at the top of the dashboard where they indicate some part of the site that they need to be configured to have the site up and running. For instance, you need to configure the site name, you need to configure your address, your payment methods, etc. So when they are not configured yet, you have some reminders about, okay, you need to do this to have your site up and running. Not only that, besides that, they always have the help from the ABA customer support, but it's like they need to feel that we are taking care of them. And we have mentioned that we have a single code base, and that means that, in modern versions of Drupal, that in general, we are also adding to the repository the config. And, each of these sites have not a completely different, but they have many parts of the configuration that are different depending on the site, like the site name, the payment methods, etc. So we have we define an architecture based on config pages and config ignore modules. So with config ignore, we are just ignoring the config. I think that's one of the industry standards of it. So when you deploy, you are not overridden the things. And config pages give us two things. On the one hand, it gives us a way to store, to generate these config forms that are storing entities. So we have a reliable storage for this specific config. Also, it helps us to shape these configuration pages that basically not all, but most of the custom configuration of the site is divided in these 4 config pages that we have for site settings, e-commerce settings, fulfillment settings, and marketing and analytics. So everything is organized around these 4 pages, and it's pretty simple for them, and also for the customer service to guide them about how they need to configure their site. So all these things. That gives also some power, like for instance, in this screenshot, we have some access or conditions rules for blogs. So depending on the config, you can check if one block is visible or not. So it's quite powerful. And we have all this. We have it wrapped in an internal service that we have. We named it the config helper, and that's where we can access to all this config. I don't know if you need to do that like an if whatever, or just to load the config. It's very straightforward, and you can just everything is the content is mashed and is in this method that you can autocomplete, and you have all the good things for your IDE. So that's quite good. And let's talk a bit again the design system, or what we called the design system. That's not an actual design system, but yeah, it's like that common theme that is using all the sites, but you need to give some room for customization. It's independent bookstore can have its own aroma, and they need to convey it also to their online presence. So we give them this is a content type that is called design, where they configure many parts of the site, like the base colors, the font, the layout of the header. Well, some stuff they can configure to give their presence. It's not like a super configurable, because most of them have the resources to hire a designer, or we need to keep some consistency to avoid to deviate too much from what we have. But with these design nodes, they can add some customization, and also they are improving and asking for new features that we are adding. For instance, lately we have added an option to change the event pages layout depending on if they want to use one layout or the other. One of the other things that we have is that they can define many designs, and only one of them is active. So I don't know, they could create many designs, and a specific one for Black Friday, a special offer, or the holidays, and directly just checking that which one is active. Automatically the whole look and feel of the page change, so they can have that power as well. And yeah, we are talking about a SaaS platform, and SaaS platform in general, they have tiers. It's like, okay, you have different subscriptions level with different features, different pricings. In 1.0, there were two completely different platforms. It was Indie Light and Indie Commerce, and depending on your decision, you choose one or the other, and it was not possible to move from one to the other, because it was a completely different Drupal site with different features. What we have here in 2.0, we have a single site, and we have a tier system. So it's like anytime you implement a new feature, and that feature could be enabled or not depending on the tier, you declare it as a tier-based feature, and you indicate the tiers where it's available, and some other related functionalities, like for instance, if it defines a content type, if that content type or that product type is available only for that for those tiers. So that's quite powerful, and also give the possibility to stores to switch from one to the other dynamically. So I don't know, I start with a small store selling only books and not having, I don't know, custom stock management, but at some point I need those features. So I can change my tier, and I'll get all those new product types and features and so on. Again, we have like a service called the Tier Feature Manager, where you can evaluate a specific feature tier-based, and it will give you a true or false, and you can make your code based on it. Also, we have like a controller access plugin, and for instance, for views as well. So besides, if that view is accessible based on a permission, is also the permission tier checks the access to the view. And when talking about e-commerce, well, stock is a very important part, because yeah, you cannot sell things that you don't have. But for indie commerce, you can configure also different layers of stock. So you have your on-site stock, the stock that the store have on their site, and we also give the possibility to connect with third-party warehouses, so they can increase a lot the range of products they can sell. They are not limited by what they have on their shelf, but they can sell almost anything that is in our database. That is a good thing, but it also has their challenges, because you have to make many third-party API requests to get this stock. So we had to implement a few different cache levels to find a compromise between having the stock, to rely on the stock, and also to have the expected performance for the site. We also provide related to it POS integration and third-party shipment trackers. So yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, let's talk. Let's not talk that much, because tax management is crazy here. I don't know. That's been for an European like me. How taxes work here in the US is super complex. And yeah, and
we're sorry.
Yeah, and imagine if it's complex, if you have to manage one store. Imagine if you want to support any kind of crazy combination about one store, one site that has two different physical stores, and depending from which of those stores the book is shipped and where the book is shipped, you need to have a different taxes, and multiply that for like 400 and something sites. So that's a lot. I will save you all the details, but that's too complex. And yeah, the development and release process. So we are using DDev for the development, and Drainpipe. That Drainpipe is a composer package developed by Lullabot and also open source that helps to manage your site and run tests and so on. And we have like a site template that allows us to create a fully functional site from scratch. We do not need to have a DB dump or anything, with some default content, some books and so on. So to generate our ephemeral environment for merge requests, and we use Task to have a consolidated way to run the test and everything in the same way locally in GitLab CI or in Pantheon when we deploy. And yeah, once a new release is tagged, the deployment scripts are running parallel in the different workers that we have in GitLab, and they synchronize the database and all that stuff in Pantheon for the sites. And finally, we've talked about the sites, but we need to handle those sites. So basically what we have is something called the hub, where we have a reference to all the sites, even in 1.0, 2.0, with some details about the database, how the inventory is managed, and so on. And the good thing is for ABA admin and customer service that you have this login button. So imagine that you have to jump into a specific site for any reason, that you need to check anything because the client tell that that something is not working as expected, or because they need some help. You can directly log in from here. You don't need to worry about passwords or anything. You have single sign-on against all the sites. And also this hub polls against different APIs in the sites to collect some information and get structured data, so we can get some insights about how the site behave and the features that they are using, trying to understand what are their needs and new features that we want to implement or would like to. Yeah, I think that's all from the internals, and Matt is going to talk to you a bit more about what the users see.
Sure, thanks. So we're going to take a quick tour through some of the user, bookstore and customer-facing components of our platform. So first of all, the process of creating a new site. Let's say that a store joins the platform and they want to get started with us. Pablo talked about the hub site that we have. By the way, we keep it ugly on purpose, so that screenshot is intentionally. Anyway, from hub, we can enter the data that we want about the site, the name of the store, basic information about what kind of features, which tier it's on, and then we basically click a single button and we have a script that goes out and creates the site on Pantheon, creates the code base, creates the database, sets up unique API credentials for different web services that it has to access. And the site takes about 20 to 30 minutes to come online, but when it does, it's full of all this sample content. So we give stores, a bunch of, we think one of the best ways to kind of teach stores to use the platform is by example. So the site spins up with a large amount of demo content, both in terms of graphical banners and slideshows and carousels. But it also comes with a bunch of marketing lists that ABA produces of new books and bestsellers, and we'll look at that a bit shortly too. And as Pablo mentioned, our support team can get into the site from Hub and do anything else that needs to be done as far as configuring it goes. Okay, so sometimes people say, why don't bookstores just use Shopify, right? We get this question in Drupal a lot. Why not just use Squarespace or something? Well, there's a lot of answers to that, and I'm sure you're all familiar with many of the larger ethical answers, but one specific use case answer for us is book metadata. Book metadata is really freaking weird. It is not like ordinary product metadata. It has a very large number of fields, and there are a huge number of books that are available for purchase at any given time. So for a store that chooses to go a different route and not use us, or we do have a couple of competitors in the book industry, but if they choose to go outside the book industry for their website, the immediate problem that they are going to face is how to get all of their books. And bookstores will carry anywhere from 8,000 to 50,000 or more unique books at a time. How to get all of those books onto their site, keep the prices up to date, keep the metadata up to date, have rich descriptions, author bios. Many bookstores will try it, and they just find that they can't keep up with it, and that's why they end up working with one of these platforms, because we handle a lot of that complexity for them. So we run a central service that has all of the book data in it. We get information from a variety of sources, publishers, as well as industry wholesalers and things like that. And one of the key features of the platform is that a book does not exist on one of our sites until someone requests it. So that could be because they looked it up in search and clicked through it. It could be because an administrator on the site chose to feature the book on a list. Or it could be because the store provides inventory information saying, hey, we carry this book. But the sites don't spin up with 10 million records, right? If they did, they would be so big they could hardly function. They spin up with nothing, and books get loaded only as needed. But they do over time rack up hundreds of thousands of book records, and I've been pleased to report that Drupal Commerce handles that pretty well. We don't really have serious performance issues with quantities of records alone. On top of the ability to load all this data, stores can customize it, because part of the thing here is, if every bookstore has the same data, they're not really independent, right? They're just getting data from the publisher or whatever. So we give them lots of features to add staff reviews, to alter the detail. They can have staff picks. They can have custom sale prices for books. So stores can do all kinds of things to take this book data that we give them and make it work for their store. We also give them a lot of different tools for pricing. Again, they can edit the prices per books, but in our industry, we also have a lot of different pricing categories. So some books might be available to the store at a 40% discount, meaning the store makes 40% of the list price, and some might be available at a 10% discount, meaning the store gets only 10% of the list price. So we give them a lot of tools to alter the pricing of books based on rules like that. They can also create unique variations of the books. For example, if they want to have a signed copy, that's maybe $10 more, or they want to have a used copy, that's $10 off. They can do that, and they can even give it a unique SKU while inheriting all of the information from the original book product. Another major thing in our industry that's somewhat unique in e-commerce is pre-orders. So if you're tuned into the book world, you might be aware of all of these campaigns that start promoting a book, and the book doesn't come out for 9 months. This is a very common thing in the book industry. So we have a lot of tools for stores to help with that, because publishers and authors are going online and encouraging people to go buy their book, and the book doesn't actually ship to the customer for 6 months, 9 months, or more. So we have a lot of tools to allow admins to take those orders, kind of hold them for a while, and then fulfill them later. Obviously, we do offer other product types. We have a product type that we call store merchandise, and this is just a catch-all for anything a store might choose to sell that's not a book. this data would be created by the store individually. It's not something we provide centrally. And this is pretty much out of the box Drupal Commerce. You know, we use the size and color variations feature that Commerce provides, and found it was a nice upgrade from what we had on our old platform. Stores can also sell what we call non-shippable store merchandise. This is just stuff that doesn't ship. Memberships, event tickets, things that are intangible. One of the cooler features we have, I think, is what we call services. So services are basically web form products. So this is something that a customer fills out a bunch of fields and then they pay some money. And this allows stores to do things like book of the month clubs, or things where they send someone a book on their birthday. They basically allow the store to collect information and money in the same cycle. And this is something our stores really like. They use this feature a lot. We also have a donation product type. This is just if customers want to donate to the bookstore, or sometimes donate to other charity things. These are tax-free. And finally, stores can carry gift cards. We support both physical and digital gift cards. And the unique thing about those is, like the donation, you can choose any amount for the product. To talk a bit about shipping, most of our shipping is pretty standard stuff from Commerce Shipping module. We do use Commerce Shipping. We haven't modified it a whole bunch for books that the customer has shipped to them. But where we do have some really unique logic is around a feature we call store pickup. So this is something that is pretty unique, I think, to brick and mortar retail, as opposed to online retailers. I don't know what the statistics are on this today, but historically store pickup is anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of the orders that run through our platform. So this is basically a feature where customers can buy a book or other products and just pick them up at the store. And we have a custom shipping plugin that we created for this. Generally speaking, store pickup is free of charge, which is why it's popular, right? If you're going to stop by the store, this is a way you can go ahead and reserve your book and prepay for it, and all you have to do is pick it up when you get there. It also allows us to cut a bunch of fields off of the form. We all know that the less information we bug customers to give us at checkout, the higher our conversion rate. So by basically skipping the entire shipping information pane, customers can get through checkout a lot faster. We also added we've had this feature for quite a while, but on 2.0 we added a new dimension to it. Obviously this was in the fallout from COVID, so curbside pickup was very popular at that time. But we also have a way for stores to create event pickup. This is a popular thing with our members. They might have an author event, and the author event might take place at a convention center, right? Like there might be some kind of a literary convention and they're selling books here at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta. And you can set up a unique pickup method to say, I'm going to pick up my book on site at the event. So stores use this feature to do a lot of different things. Payments are fairly standard on our platform. We accept credit cards through authorize.net. We're working on adding Square. A fair number of our members use Square for their point of sale system, so we're working on integrating it with their website. We do offer PayPal, and our gift card payment builds on the Commerce gift card module, but we do have a built-in e-gift card option, so stores can just use our platform. It's basically a fully functional e-gift card feature where they can sell gift cards and redeem them through their own website. We also have support for several popular industry gift card vendors who do, physical in-store cards that you can also use online. Again, a somewhat unique feature we have, and this is kind of a companion to the store pickup I mentioned, is what we call pay at store. So this is a way for the customer to pay for their book when they get to the bookstore. So if the pickup at store eliminates the shipping information pane, pay at store eliminates the billing information pane. And what you basically collect at that point is the customer's contact information, like an email address, their name, a phone number maybe, and then that's it. And the store can just put the book on hold. Customer comes into the store and they can pay at the store when they pick up their book. One of the main ways we allow stores to feature content on their site is through product lists. So they are what they sound like. They're just lists of products that appear on the site. But it's basically just an entity reference for commerce products. But they do have some fancy aspects that we built into it. You can combine books, store merchandise, and other product types all on the same list. You can reference products by SKU or by title. This is important for stores because the book industry has a standard identifier for all its products called the ISBN. You may have heard of this value. If you take a book and you flip it over, there's going to be a barcode on the back of it, and that's going to be the ISBN. And stores use that extensively to refer to books. So we added this option for them to use that or the book's title to load it into a list. And finally, and this is an important one, our product list feature can import books from our book data system that don't yet exist on the site, which is a very common thing, because especially when the store is first creating their website, they might be creating a bunch of lists, and these books have never been viewed on the site before, so they're out in our central system, but they're not on the website yet. So it has to be possible for them to reference these products from the entity reference widget and pull in the metadata as they do that. We do have bulk upload for product lists, and they can be used on the site in all kinds of ways. They can be displayed as standalone pages, as carousels, or even incorporated into other landing pages, such as the home page. So once you create a product list on an indie commerce website, you can reuse that list in a variety of different places. You can also update the list. So for example, some of our stores might create a staff picks list, and it goes on their homepage, and then they just edit the staff picks list and change the books on it, once a month or something, and everything that references that list on the site is going to automatically get those updates. Finally, we do have some special curated product lists that indie commerce, we ourselves, that ABA puts together. I'll give you a quick look at what those look like. So we have a program at ABA called the Indie Next List, and this is a feature. Basically, independent bookstores from all over the nation submit recommendations for new books that are coming out each month, and the ones that get the most votes go on the ABA Indie Next List. We also maintain a list of best-selling books that's unique to our channel. So this list that you see here, called the Indie Bestsellers list, these are the best-selling books for the past, I think this was from March 9th. It was a couple weeks ago I put this slide together. But these are the best-selling hardcover, fiction, nonfiction, etc. books in bookstores, independent bookstores in America that week. So when an indie commerce site spins up, when it's created, like all of this stuff is just there immediately. So bookstores can start promoting without even having to create content for themselves. And this content automatically updates every month. We have a series of APIs that push a new Indie Next List monthly, and the new bestseller list is actually weekly. We have an event calendar. We use the recurring events module to put this together. That allows stores to create things like book club events that recur every month. And maybe they're just slightly different. So maybe they're the same date and time every month, but it's a different book. The recurring events module makes it easy for us to, the store can create, a year's worth of events and then go in and make just the differences between each one of them, distinct. Most of the features are fairly standard on this. We have a calendar and a list view, and we do have the ability to have an external RSVP link for something like Eventbrite. We allow customers to create wish lists of books. This is using the Commerce Wish List module. Pretty standard feature. You see a book you want, you click the little heart icon, and it goes on your list. But we do have a more complex built-out version of that we call Gift Registry. And a gift registry is a wish list where the customer can specify a particular quantity of each product that they want, and then as those products are purchased, the quantity counts down. So this is popular with things like schools Maybe the school says, we want these books for our library, and we want 3 copies of this one and 5 copies of that one. And then the bookstore can share that list with their community, and people in the community can buy the books effectively to donate them to the school using the gift registry. I left myself 1 minute to talk about migration. I'll probably make it, right? No. I'll be as brief as I can while hopefully being informative. So one of our huge challenges with this project, colossal challenges, and we're still in the middle of it, to be honest, is migrating all of our stores from our legacy platform, which is Drupal 7, to Indie Commerce 2.0, which is currently Drupal 10. How did we approach this? Well, first of all, I should explain, our 1.0 platform is self-hosted. We have our own servers, we have our own database, everything is run. We have our own sysadmin who manages all of it. It's all in-house. 2.0 is on Pantheon. And so we had to build a whole bunch of tools using both systems to get data securely from one to the other. We have hundreds of live sites to migrate. Some of them have 6-figure annual sales or more, so there's some sensitivity about the site being down for any length of time because they need the money. Many of our sites have a sizable customer base. So again, customers want to be able to access the site. They don't want to be confused when they come over. We have a lot of close B2B relationships with our bookstores. Closer, I think, than a typical commercial relationship might be. And this one pains me to admit, we allowed users way more access on 1.0. We basically gave them access to create content types, to manage views, and some of that content is challenging for us to migrate. So in migrating, we prioritized supported content, what we provided, anything high quality and high quantity. Customer data, a huge priority for us. Obviously, customers need to have all their information on the new site when the migration finishes. And commerce data, essential business data. We used migrate tools, commerce migrate. We used all these modules to do this. And we basically built a replica database with a bash script. So we're not migrating data from our live database. We're migrating data from our replica. We do the migration for each store individually. We do 2 phases. One phase is content. That's all of the stuff that's generally customer facing, the stuff I was just talking about. And then the second phase is commerce. So we do the content phase. We give it over to the store to review. They make any tweaks. And when the store is satisfied that they've got their new site ready to go, then we do the commerce migration. We switch the DNS records, and the store goes live.
Okay, so let me finalize a bit the session talking about the success stories or use case and store reactions to all this migration. Well, I think that many of you have heard about Drupal CMS, that's all the thing. Also probably about the new navigation or dashboards or some of those new shiny things that are coming there. But probably not many of you know that Indie Commerce has been the ground for testing some of those new features. So as mentioned before, the collaboration between Lullabot and the ABA has been fruitful in many aspects, but one of them is that they've been very open to give us the opportunity to make some research about content, UX, etc., and also the opportunity to do some experiments there. So maybe just a couple of samples, you can see the custom navigation created with all the information collected in 2022 for ABA, and now how we have migrated it to the new core navigation. So you can see that, well, it's quite similar because basically it's based on the same studies. It has some iterations about the icons and so on, but well, it also helped us to just to get rid of all that custom code and rely on Drupal core, and it will pretty straightforward. And well, our internal testing is being very successful, and well, this is not live yet. Will be released on next week for the stores, and we hope we get good feedback. Something similar happened with the dashboard I mentioned before. It's been the ground for testing for the dashboard in Drupal CMS. Nowadays, this is a custom controller with all the things, but well, the ideas were taken from here, and hopefully we could migrate it to the new dashboards that are coming with Drupal CMS and get rid of the custom. So it's great to see how the work done to make the site administrator happier in this project. It's been moved, and the whole Drupal community can take advantage of that. Well, that's great. Well, not only that, the ABA commitment to share the things we've done. We have a couple of country modules created as part of this project. Many issues we worked on, and many other parts that are coming. So yeah, that's great to see how the whole Drupal community is taking advantage of this. And finally, let me share some thoughts on quotes from stores after a survey conducted like in February, if I'm not mistaken, so 1 month ago, about the 2.0 platform. And yeah, it's amazing see how the stores are reacting to the improvements made in the enhanced admin UX, and how all the effort put then was worth. Also related to the editorial UX and content experience, having a better experience for creating content helps to generate better and more engaging content for the store that helps to gain more attention. Finally, let's remember that the focus of this project is just to help stores to boost their revenues in this competitive environment they are nowadays, and yeah, see that they are improving their sales and improving their conversion is great. And well, that's the fact that says that all this worked and gives us an opportunity to continue working on this and increasing the bet in the project. Yeah, I think that's been all so far. So thank you for your time, and well, if you have any question, feel free to throw it. So yeah, first of all, thank you.
Your tier system.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to restate what I heard and then ask a couple questions. You have different features that, like Drupal level features, that are enabled based upon the different tiers someone might be in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a bookstore might be in. Okay, so are you? But you have a single code base for everything. So are you enabling a whole bunch of modules and then using some like tier level config setting to control access to all of those things all the time? So then you just change the config and they get access to those new features? Or like, how are you controlling whether those things are on?
It depends a bit, but well, the question for the record is about how the tier system is managing the thing related to config, summarizing. So basically, most of the things are config related. So we have the config ones is where we have like kind of the dependencies for views, blocks, etc. And also we have permission-based things. For instance, when we have like product types that are tier-based, so the product types are there. So we are not installing or uninstalling on demand the product types, but we have extra granularity of permissions, and depending on the tier, we evaluate the tier we are on, and we give access to some parts of the sites and other don't.
Okay, but in general, all the features are on.
Yeah, all the features are on, but we have like a permissions system that hides them or not. Not for all, but that's in general. Yes, I think he was first. Sorry.
Are you giving the users any like layout access with like layout builder to kind of construct pages, or are things pretty much just kind of standard content types that they can create?
Yeah, the question is about if we give some freedom for layout builder or things like that, or it's like a rigid system. So yeah, as mentioned before, it's like a quite rigid system. So they don't have access to layout builder, paragraphs, or similar. What we have is that design system we mentioned before, that where they have some options they can enable, disable, or choose from, like for instance, for the page header, I don't know if we have that slide, the slide where we shared. So we have like different layouts for the header, and well, they are at the very beginning. So
Yeah.
so basically they can choose from different layouts, hard-coded things. For things like the homepage, they have like a defined set of regions or set of tiles or sections. They can enable them or not. They can drag and drop them, but it's within that set of items we are providing. So they don't have full freedom, but they have some kind of freedom, because well, they are not Drupal people. They are not technical at all in many cases, and that could be dangerous for their websites, and also for the customer service also, because they will need to give support to hundreds of sites. So maybe yeah, you can see here you have this header where you have this layout. Well, it's pretty similar. Well, yeah, this one has the navigation above. The other had, well, they have some room to give some kind of personalization, but in general, it's quite rigid. Thank you.
In regards to custom one-off modules, maybe for each website, do you handle that within the tier system too, where you get X number of custom modules, or?
Yeah, I'll speak to that one. The question is about custom modules. How do we work with them? Do they fit in the tier system? That is one of the places we draw the line. We don't currently allow our members to provide custom modules or custom code. This is a lesson learned from our 1.0 version of the platform, where we were more, we were still fairly strict about completely custom code, but we allowed members a lot more freedom. And what we found over time was that one member who created a piece of unique code or unique content could take up, half of a customer service rep's time or something. It just was not scalable for us. And also what would happen is that stores would get into areas sometimes that maybe they could get a little too deep, where they would start creating a feature and it would, not work correctly for them, and they wouldn't really know where to turn to get help with that. So it's always been a challenge for us. I think one of our goals with 2.0 is that we never want to be in a situation where we can't push an update to a store, whether that be a Drupal security update, a core security update, or a module update, or a new feature that we're adding. We never want to be in a position where we can't push that to a store because of something the store did with their site. And that's something that we get with our legacy platform all the time. So we pretty much hold the line on custom code right now.
This is just really general, but from a web hosting side, are you deploying Docker images for this? Like, do you have a single image backing all of it, or are you doing something else?
Yeah, that's a good question too. The question is about, from a hosting perspective, do we use Docker images, or how do we deploy them? They're just Pantheon sites. So it's basically, we use a GitLab CI pipeline that builds all the code and commits it to the Git repository for each site on Pantheon. So we're basically just using Pantheon like Pantheon. We just have a really big script that does it, 500 times. Yes?
For your migrations, did you write custom migrations for each site, or were you able to use one giant migration for all of them?
Yes and yes. The question is about migrations. Did we write custom migrations for each site, or do we have one giant migration that does everything? Mostly we've tried to go with the one size fits all. So we have a series of migrations that correspond to different features on the platform, right? So we have a migration that does book lists, product lists, and we have a migration that does events, and we have a migration that does orders, and we have a migration that does gift cards. And we basically enable or disable those selectively for a site as we migrate them based on whether they use those features on our legacy platform. So, everybody's going to have product lists, everybody's going to have orders. Not every store uses gift cards. So if a store doesn't use gift cards, we just don't run that migration for them. In terms of custom migrations, like completely custom migrations for completely custom content, again, we have done our best to avoid doing that for stores. Cone of silence, I might have done it for somebody once or twice, but you didn't hear that from me.
How do you decide on when you're going to implement a new feature?
Ooh. Whew. There's someone more qualified than me to answer that in our audience, but the question is, how do you decide when you're going to implement a new feature? It's a really, really great question, because we are at the American Booksellers Association. We're a trade association, so we represent our members. We have a board of directors that is comprised of about a dozen booksellers. And in principle, our association is taking direction from the board of directors and from our CEO. So in some ways, we resemble a nonprofit more than a commercial entity. So the feature set that we're going to choose is generally going to be driven by feedback from our members. We try to choose the features that we can get done efficiently that are going to have the broadest possible benefit for our membership. We try to avoid doing too much for a handful of stores. And if any of you run a big service like this, you're probably familiar with the challenge you get that your biggest customers are also going to be the ones who want the most from you. But you have this huge base of smaller customers who you may not hear from very much or at all. But those customers have needs too, and even if they're silent, if you don't fulfill their needs, first of all, they're not going to do as well, but secondly, they might eventually leave your service. So we try to survey our members periodically to get feedback about what they're looking for, and we work very closely with our customer support team. We have a super close relationship with support to kind of like flag things that are coming up a lot, right? If lots of people are reporting that this thing doesn't work the way they need it to, or this feature, they need it but they don't have it, that's kind of how we put our roadmap together.
Maybe an infrastructure question. So with 2.0, everything, all the individual sites are on Pantheon, just as Pantheon sites. Then you spoke about the hub. Is that how are all these things orchestrated with the hub? Is that just the APIs that you build within your hub service, or how does that work?
Yeah, the question is about how Hub orchestrates all the things it does with 2.0, individual 2.0 websites. A lot of it is Terminus. Pantheon provides a tool called Terminus. If you've ever looked at Pantheon, you probably are familiar with it. It allows you to run drush commands remotely using authentication on Pantheon environments. So a lot of it is done with Terminus. For the single sign-on, we use JSON Web Tokens, JWT. So we basically have our own SSO system where the site can issue a JWT to an admin user and allow them to sign in. All right. Last chance. Well, thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you being here. And yeah, I hope this was helpful to you. Feel free to approach me if there's anything in your use case that we can help, maybe share some perspective on that we haven't already. Just let us know.